So one of the questions I get asked the most is what the smartest drum setup is. And I'm referring to interface and preamps. This doesn't mean the cheapest nor the flashiest. What makes the most sense for engineers and drummers alike to get an absolutely great drum sound without having to buy vintage gear and preamps? By the end of this episode, you'll have my full take on exactly what that is and why, with some dope examples played by one of my closest friends, Mazen Ayub from Soultone. But let's skip the preview. We have something we need to review. So what's happening, fam? Miami here with JST, and I've tried basically every type of preamp that there is. I have Neve pre's, SSL pre's, API pre's, Daking pre's, and Chandler pre's, etc. Most of these come at a pretty high price point, usually single channels or in racks of 4. But when it comes to drums, I feel like we need about 12 preamps to be considered a drum recording setup. And we're gonna lose at least one of those for talkback most of the time. So this sends you on a hunt for an 8-channel rack preamp, but then you still have to worry about converters and an interface. And the smartest thing that I found was the Audient ASP880 a couple years ago. And to this day, I still think it's the best thing you can get. I've always likened this to a warmer SSL styled pre, but it's very much its own thing. I've used this for quite a while, but let me explain what it is that makes this the smartest rack unit to still use in this year, especially for all drummers that want to just have a setup they can leave next to them plugged in without having to patch into a control room. First thing, it gives you 8 preamps, but not just any preamps. The same ones that are inside the Audient console. They do this through the entire line, and I've owned everything from the ID4 to the ID14 to the ID22 and now the ID44. But more on that in a minute. It has 8 combi jacks on the back, as well as 2 DB25s that you can use for hardware inserts. Goes up to 96 for the sample rate, up to 60 dB of gain on each of those pre's. And besides the 8 preamps, you get 8 A to D converters, which are far superior to anything in this price range. You can change the impedance from high, low to medium, and my personal favorite is the high, but I'm gonna show you guys the difference between these modes in an example in a little bit. A really cool feature is polarity switches on every channel, and my personal favorite is the included high pass filters. This lets you cut out those unwanted subs on every channel, but when it comes to this channel, we don't have any unwanted subs, so hit that subscribe button, notification bell, and like button if you're really feeling this video. My transition game is still crazy. Just so you guys understand, you get all of this for $1,200. Yeah, 8 preamps from a console, 8 AD converters, 8 high pass filters with ADAT connectivity, 2 dedicated JFET DIs. That's literally insane, but that's just on the preamp side. So let's talk about the interface. If you're on a budget, you don't have to get the ID44 that I have. I want you guys to know the most affordable options for your setup. Everything in the Audient line that has ADAT comes with the beautiful mixer software. This was updated, and I have to say it looks much slicker than it used to. If you only need 10 ins and outs, you can use the ID14, which can be grabbed for $280 and only has 1 optical ADAT. I literally use nothing but this thing for a solid year of my recording life. Another feature I love from this is you can use the volume knob as a scroll wheel in your DAW. Super useful for scrolling across, just like that little feature they added. If you have a little bit more cash to spend, I suggest the ID22. For a couple $100, it is a huge upgrade. It introduces sends and returns into the Audient line, but for some reason, it removed that scroll wheel option. Bring that back, guys. Regardless, this means you can use hardware gear with your setup if you so choose, but I'm gonna explain what I really love about the ID44. First of all, it gives you standalone mode if you want. It gives you 2 ADAT ins and 2 ADAT outs, which lets you connect 2 ASP880s. But the smartest setup, if you only need 12 preamps, is an ID44 and an ASP880, which still gives you the option to upgrade later. And here's the kicker. The ID44 allows the use of a USB mic with its setup to free up a preamp so that you can use all 12. It lets you use that USB mic for talkback. So you just configure that in the mixer. This puts you at less than $2,000 for 12 preamps from a console, filters, 12 AD converters, 4 DA converters. I have a single preamp that costs that much money. But let's listen to this thing. First, I'm gonna play you what it sounds like just mic'd up raw.
Tell me
Okay, so you know how a little while ago I was mentioning how important those filters are? Let's show the same thing played back and forth raw and then raw with the filters. Pretty dope, right? But now I want to show you the difference the impedance mode has on the drums. We're going to switch through all three modes from high, medium to low, all with the high pass filters engaged. Pay attention to how the snare is changing throughout these modes. I love how this sounds going straight into Reaper, but let's take a listen to this from the raw version with filters to a mix of the drums really quick. And my favorite thing about this setup is the fact that it's upgradable. If you get two ASP880s with the onboard 4 preamps, this gives you a total maximum of 20 preamps, 20 high pass filters, 20 AD converters, and 6 DIs. As far as quality, price point, and accessible features, I consider this to give that unison console feel to people on a reasonable budget. So how do you guys feel about the ASP880? If you ask me, one of the greatest inventions made for the drummer and also for the engineer. Are there any other things that you think I should check out that fall into this category and budget? If so, leave it in the comments below and I'll catch you guys next time. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. You only have to do it one time, and tap that bell for notification so when a video drops, you know the location. Till next time, I'm out of here. Mic drop. Except as engineers, we know I'd never really drop this thing because that get pretty expensive, even if it is a piece of shirt. Later. Oh, my lights just went out. That's crazy. Guess there's some other things I gotta upgrade around here. With all that money I saved from the Audient, guess that should be all right. Later.